Imagine waking up tomorrow with just $100 in your pocket, feeling like it's impossible to change your financial destiny. But what if I told you that same $100, if invested the right way, could grow into billions over the next few decades? And that this is not a fairy tale or some exaggerated story, but a real-life example from one of the greatest investors in history, Warren Buffett, who turned modest beginnings into unimaginable wealth by understanding money, patience, and human behavior in a way that most people never will. Today, I want to take you inside the mind of Buffett to reveal the principles that made him the richest investor alive, and more importantly, to give you advice you can start using today to transform your financial future. Because the truth is, wealth is not about luck. It's about consistent habits, disciplined decisions, and a mindset that most people refuse to adopt. And if you are willing to listen and apply these lessons, you can change your life, starting with the same $100 that may feel insignificant right now. The first principle Buffett follows is the power of compound interest, which he calls the eighth wonder of the world, meaning that even a small amount of money, if invested wisely and left untouched for years, grows exponentially, multiplying in ways that most people cannot imagine. And it all starts with patience and consistency, because in the world of investing, time is your greatest ally, and rushing for quick gains almost always leads to losses. And this is where most people fail. They look for shortcuts. They try to chase trends. They gamble on luck instead of making strategic decisions based on facts, research, and proven methods. And Buffett avoided this trap entirely, choosing companies not because they were popular, but because they had strong fundamentals, a durable competitive advantage, and were run by trustworthy management. Which brings us to the second critical lesson. Always invest in what you understand, because when you understand a business deeply, you can see its long-term potential, predict challenges, and avoid panic when the market fluctuates, whereas blind investing, or following hype, leads to poor decisions, losses, and regret. And Buffett's genius lies in his ability to evaluate businesses with clarity, calculating intrinsic value versus market price, and only buying when the price is far below the value, a strategy known as value investing. And the reason this works is simple yet profound. The market is driven by emotions. Fear and greed dominate short-term decisions. And while most investors panic during downturns, Buffett sees opportunity, understanding that temporary market volatility is a friend to disciplined investors, not a threat. And this leads to the third lesson. Embrace risk intelligently, because avoiding risk entirely means avoiding growth.
But taking reckless risks is a path to failure, and Buffett teaches us to distinguish between speculative risk and calculated risk, to bet on what is predictable, stable, and has a long-term edge, which is why he famously said, "Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1." And this is not just a catchy phrase. It is a principle that guides every decision, reminding us that preserving capital is more important than chasing instant gains. And this philosophy extends to all areas of life, not just investing, because every time you make a choice without calculating its consequences, you risk losing more than you gain. And Buffett's disciplined approach shows that wealth is created slowly, methodically, and patiently, not by gambling or hoping for luck. Which brings us to the fourth lesson. Think long-term, because wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. And those who focus on short-term trends, trying to get rich overnight, almost always fail. Whereas those who make thoughtful decisions, reinvest profits, and let time multiply their assets, achieve extraordinary results. And this is why Buffett's journey from $100 to billions wasn't about genius or secrets. It was about principles, habits, and a mindset that most people never adopt. A mindset that says, invest in quality, be patient, understand the business, control emotions, and let compound growth do its magic. And this is applicable to anyone, anywhere, even if you start small, because the math doesn't care about size, only consistency and time, and beyond investing. Buffett's life teaches us the importance of continuous learning, because knowledge compounds too, and reading, studying, observing successful people, and learning from mistakes all create a mental advantage that is far more powerful than any shortcut. And you can see this in how Buffett reads hundreds of pages every day, seeking wisdom from past experiences, annual reports, and business books. And this relentless pursuit of understanding is what allowed him to spot opportunities where others saw risk, to stay calm when others panicked, and to make decisions rooted in logic rather than emotion. And the fifth lesson is frugality and humility, because despite being one of the richest people in the world, Buffett lives modestly, drives his own car, and avoids unnecessary expenses, proving that wealth is not measured by extravagance but by the value you create and the impact of your decisions. And this is an essential mindset for anyone trying to build financial freedom, because if you spend recklessly and chase appearances, you sabotage your ability to invest, save, and grow. And similarly, patience in lifestyle, discipline in spending, and control over impulses are just as important as smart investment choices. And another critical aspect of Buffett's success is his focus on reputation and trust, because in business and investing, your word, credibility, and ethical behavior are invaluable.